Welcome to Think Property Club. Now, on this very special episode, I've got a friend, a student, another developer that has gone through a bit of adversity to start off with. So we're going to go a bit of a background of what he's had to do to get just to this country to start developing, not even being born in this country. We do have a bit of a background because my mother is Slavic and his mother's obviously Slavic. And so it's kind of cool knowing that we have that same type of history behind us there. The one thing that makes us very in common, and I know it's automatic, is that we're diehards, which means that you can push us and we'll just keep working and working and working. That's the type of Slavic attitude that we have always had. So don't give us a hoe. And when I say hoe, I mean the one that you plow the field with, because we'll go for 5 days non-stop. Now that can be a good thing in the background of our genetics, but on the same side is we've got to start knowing that we can do anything we want to do, but our brain will actually bring us into a better field where we can actually be rewarded more than for what we do, right? So I just want to welcome today, Andrey. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself and maybe about your company and where you're located and what you're doing now, and then we'll go right back into the history of where you were born and how you came to Australia.
Hi guys, my name is Andrey. I'm from Sydney, New South Wales. I've got my buyer's agency company. We specialize specifically in acquiring development sites.
And what's the name of that company? I know that we worked on this and came up with great...
Property Buyers Team.
Property Buyers Team. It really tells me exactly what you do.
Really easy. Yes.
Great. Okay, Andrey. So you're also a developer?
Yes.
I'm going to show some pictures of that.
Yes. Yeah. Completed some developments already, and a few more on the go, and a few more in the works.
Yes. Great. Okay. Now let's go right back. I'd like to know a little bit about, and I'd like the listeners to know a little bit about the people that I'm interviewing here. So go back to your childhood. Where were you actually born? And how did you get to Australia?
Yeah, interesting story. It's a long way. I was born in Moscow, in Russia, and I finished university in Moscow. It was about regional town planning. My specialization was in planning rural town centers and the surrounding farms. And that's where I started. That's my background. And once I finished uni, I chose to go and see what else this world has for us. And I went to an international conference, and I was offered a student exchange program between Australia and Russia in agricultural field. And so I decided to take it, and I flew all the way from Moscow to Australia, hoping to get some cultural and knowledge exchange between Russian, say, farmers and Australian farmers. Mm-hmm. And
sounds good.
Sounds good in the beginning, but where I actually ended up is not where I wanted to be, and that's not what I expected.
You come here and you're like, okay, I'm going to be able to do some help the Australians out, come and do some towning, show them around what my skills, that I can help them with their planning and maybe help the farmers bit and do exactly what I've been able to do in Russia. So it's pretty cool. And when you get here, what happens? What do they do?
I ended up being in the regional New South Wales in Moree, driving tractors.
So they said, yeah, mate, look, just for a couple of days, here's the keys. Did you know how to drive a tractor?
No, they said, no, it's pretty easy. It's just A, B, C, D, and it's 10 gears in each one. It's just 40 gears. You'll be fine.
So became a tractor driver. And so what were you doing, ploughing, or what were you doing?
Oh, no, it was harvest season of crops in the regional New South Wales. And I spent quite some time driving tractors and combiners. Yeah, it was interesting experience.
It's good to know you got that talent now. It can go on your resume. You can always get back to doing that, right? Excavation would have been better.
Yeah, I guess so. But
obviously, You're like me, yeah. You don't focus on the negatives. You're like, okay, this is what's going. Where's the future hobby? What do I have to do to change the situation? But I suppose there you got to practice your language more, right? English.
Yeah, I only started to learn language in the last 2 years at uni. So I was pretty fresh in English. My English would be like backpackers. I would struggle to understand even backpackers. So it's pretty um, interesting experience.
And in Moree, it would have just been all
Yeah.
slang.
Yeah. It was like it was interesting because I sort of I could understand what people were saying, but it was hard to put my thoughts into the sentences. So it's like a dog. It
So you
loves you, understands you, but it can't say anything.
so you would have learned Sheila. You would have learned,
Yeah.
True Blue. All this,
Yeah,
all
and
this stuff.
after that, I got even more interesting experience. Once that harvesting season finished, um, I had to go and do another job.
In
So I
Cairns, was
flew
it?
to Cairns. Yeah, I
And
flew
then
to,
you go on the beach, and then you start to become a surf instructor in Cairns.
I wish I was, but I realized pretty quickly that there's a lot of crocodiles in there, so you can't actually swim in there. It was interesting too. So yeah, well, the experience I had there was very interesting. I was doing banana picking there. It was yeah.
Do you like bananas?
Um, I do occasionally, but not as much anymore as I used to.
I was saying to
Yeah.
Andrey that, yeah, were you the guy that bends the bananas? Like, was that your job, bending them all over? So, okay, so you did that, and then you go back to your visa finishes there, does it?
Yeah, my visa finished, so I picked up quite good English in
Or
here.
Australian, at least.
Australian, mate. Yep.
Aussie.
So Aussie.
Australia.
Yeah, some English, and came back to Russia and decided just to continue with what I was doing. But I decided to give it a slight bend and chose to work as a surveyor, as a land surveyor, rather than being in town planning field. So I started to work in the local council, and so I worked there for a bit, and then realized that it's quite boring, a lot of paperwork, and
Yeah.
then I chose, okay, let's do surveying because I had quite a bit of hours back in my uni,
Mm-hmm.
and I was easily qualified as a surveyor. So I
And what's the
decided,
difference in, like, you've done surveying in Australia as well? Is there any difference in surveying
no,
in
no,
really?
no.
I think it all. Wow.
There is some difference in boundary definition because we here have an English system with the drill hole wings and marks on the curbs, but in Russia it's all GPS. So you turn up GPS in any part of the country and you're ready to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. And is it metric system over there? Or is it
Metric,
foot?
yes.
It is
No,
metric.
it was always metric.
Always metric.
From the
Okay, great.
beginning. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then what did you work on over there?
Oh, I decided to take another drastic um, change, and me and my wife, we jumped in the car, packed all the gear, packed all the pillows and blankets, and we took off to Sochi in the city of future Winter Olympic Games, which
Yeah.
was supposed to be in 2014. So we moved to Sochi, and I started to work on Olympic venues. I started as just a junior surveyor, then turned into surveyor, and then ended up being a senior surveyor. So we were building ski slopes, mountain roads, and then I ended up doing Olympic stadiums in the Olympic Village. And then the last job I was doing is building F1 track.
Oh, yeah. And I'm
Inside
an
Olympic
F1
Village.
fan. So as soon as you said that, I was like, peaked up. Good. You must
Yeah,
feel
but
pretty proud.
we only did road based, so the bitumen would come from
Most important part.
Germans. Yeah, but Germans would come in and do that. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So you must have been pretty proud of that, being part of the
yeah,
Olympics too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then once we finished, I knew the works in there would just come to the end, and I thought, okay, let's discover something else. And I thought, oh, I've been to Australia, let's go there and see what people doing in there.
Yeah.
So I applied applied to visa, and I've been given permanent residency within, I think, 12 days. which I was pretty surprised. But the only condition I had is I had to pass English exam. So
Australian.
Australian. So it took me, and it's another interesting story. It took me 12 attempts to pass it. So I flew 12
Really?
times from
No, you
Sochi to
didn't.
Moscow. No, it's true. Yeah, it was. It was.
What was the one that got you? How to spell Australia?
No. I was passing nearly all the time.
Yeah.
But my weak spot was writing.
Writing.
So I couldn't get writing. So there was a minimum 7.
Yep.
For all of them. So I was getting like 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, and then writing 6.5.
Yeah, it's because isn't Russian
pass.
writing like all backwards or something? Very different text, isn't it?
No, it's Cyrillic. It's like Greece.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And so you finally, you didn't give up, obviously.
Yeah. It was really. It was difficult. It was a hard time. So I was ready to go, but I just didn't have the English, and it took me like nearly a year to pass this exam.
Was it actually writing or typing?
Writing, handwriting.
Handwriting, okay. Yeah, because I've got really awful handwriting, but my typing's fine.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you can't. So then, bang, you got it. You come over here with your wife.
Yep. Yeah. And
where did you first end up?
I got the job within 2 weeks.
Where?
In a survey company straight away, because they looked at my resume and said,
"Okay, what suburb did you come back to?"
Darlinghurst.
Darlinghurst. Wow.
Yeah, because when I was planning my arriving, I was like, okay, this is a city. I put a circle with I don't walk anywhere more than 20 minutes. That's where I'm landing, right bang there.
Darlinghurst is like the
I didn't know the history of this suburb. I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, I wanted 20 minutes.
Well, it's the drag queen capital of Australia.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Darlinghurst. So right smack bang in the city. That would have been okay though. At least you're back in the city. Then you get the job, the surveying.
Yeah. In 2 weeks, I got the survey job. It was an interesting experience in the first place. I came to site. I knew exactly what's happening. I came in the middle of the project. I knew exactly what I need to do, but I still couldn't quite understand that specific engineering language. So I knew in the morning what I had to do, but when I was in meeting, I didn't quite get what people were telling me. So in the end, I ended up doing what I had to do anyway, but not really understanding what people were telling me.
Yeah. Interesting. And then how long did it take you to become proficient? Like not only
3 months.
3 months, and then you were like, hey, bang.
Yeah.
Great.
3 months of adaptation. That's all it took.
And then, then what was the next step from there to kind of find out into getting into the developing saga? You were seeing developments going on? Yeah.
I was doing boundary surveys, and I would do those surveys on the really rundown houses with all the bush at the back, which was really annoying. And then I would come a year and a half later, and I would see these beautiful townhouses, and I would do final identification survey. And I was thinking, okay, so that's how it's done. I see how it's done, but then what's the mechanics behind it? What's the financial part of it?
That's exactly where I started too. Like I'd see this stuff. I mean, it's so weird because I'd see one house getting done, because you grow up, you see your neighbors build a house, you go along, you see a house being built. And then you see townhouses being built and you think, oh, God, that must be really complicated. But it's just 2 houses next to each other. It's actually much easier to build a townhouse than to even build a house. Common walls and those type of things, and they're smaller. And they're kind of designed in a way, most townhouses are designed to make money, but most of them, the investment, they're not really designed and over capitalized, where a house can be very easily over capitalized because you're probably living in it a lot of time. But no one really, it's not a common thing for people to build 3 townhouses and live in one. Most of the time, developers, we do. But as a general mum and dad, you just go and build one and then you finish, and then you move on. So then you suddenly see, okay, there's these townhouses get done. And obviously the first thing, maybe you were like me, where I thought, well, there's no way anyone could do it unless you had a stack of money to start with, right? Unless you had a couple of million sitting in the bank, yeah?
Yeah, I basically told my wife, I said, there's money to be made, but I don't know how. And she said, oh, here's the book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, yeah.
That was that. So I read that, and that was my first understanding about property. not only Australia, but basically making the way to make money through property. That was the first book. And I said, yeah, darling, this is good, but what is it to do with development? Yeah. And she started to search for the courses for me.
Yeah. And then you got trained by the same mentor as I did. And then you went along to that conference. And then there was a thing where I'd been developing then 2014. So I started in 2008. So I'd already been doing a lot of things. And then I came up with an introduction course for members of my mentor to show them my system. Yeah. And then you came along to that.
Yeah. That's where I first met you.
And was there some light bells going off there for you?
Oh yeah, massive. It's like amazing. That's the mechanics behind it, the system, how you do your research, how put your numbers together, how do your marketing, how do your sales, all this, the whole system from the beginning to the end. So there's nothing left behind.
And I think that's when I started getting into this and training people, I was like, how do I train people? I'm not a teacher. I'm not never done any speaking on stage, and other than when people wanted to ask me about how I did things, like they'd bring me up on stage, say, hey, what are you doing this time? I'm building this, I'm building that. But then I got an opportunity to teach people, and I was like, I don't know, how do you teach people? Like, I didn't write books or anything like that, And they said, look, the best way you can teach them is just to show them your system right from the beginning to the end, because I'm a very process-driven person. I like to stick to the same thing. I'm not risky at all. I always like to make sure that everything's backed up. And obviously my wife too, Amy, which you would have met. People call us Jamie, Jason and Amy, Jamie. And it's a common nickname in the industry for us. And my whole idea was saying, I know people are stuck at the system behind it. It's not the info. You can find out info from reading a book, but it's okay, how do I do it in this country, and where's someone done it before? When did they do it? What was the next step? All those type of things. And I found by me just sharing that system with people, they would build faith that, hey, at least I can copy this system and go ahead and create something on my own. And then that's it. That was the exact point. And that's exactly what you did, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You went on that. Now, one of the things that I teach people a lot is, just from my own experience, is that when I did my first developments, I didn't put any money in. So I didn't go and have to save up the money like that. What I did is I had the system, I built up the skills. I said to investors out there, hey, I've got an opportunity for you to use your money with my skills, and I'll do all the work and you finance it, and then we'll split the profits at the end. A lot of people think, yeah, it sounds good, but it's not possible, right? But then I've done it so many times over, and there is a system to it. You actually probably got to know more than the average property developer, because you're actually then handling someone else's money and reporting to them, and then you're presenting a plan to them. So normal property developers might go for another line where they might just build one, or they might have some, I don't know, work for a builder or something like that. But from my situation, I built up so many skills and then put them into a system so that I knew who came next, and then imparting that to other people was really important to me. And I think that's what you've been able to adapt to as well, because someone says to me, well, how do I do it myself? Well, I say, well, I had to learn how to do it. And so I'm showing you this. And then when you've got to build a team together, because remember, your first one was done without any of your own money. You had investors on board. But did you find what part of the system that you learned off me was important to be able to make that investor come on board with you? Maybe that story would be good to tell people.
I think the best part for me was I sort of had some really good idea about town planning before I came to your course. So that was this bit was covered. But the best thing...
That's what you say to the investor? So you're first presenting the town plan and saying, this is the area that I know that this is allowed first, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's what they want to hear?
Yeah, so my basically presenting the deal from a town planning perspective was, you couldn't do like anything. It was just 100%, because that was my field. That's what I do as a land surveyor. We consult our clients in my day job, but what's possible, what's not possible. So that was covered. That was easy. But what I learned from you is actually how to make this number stack up, which areas do stack up, which products fit for the specific areas. Because some areas designed for houses, some areas designed for townhouses, some areas good for apartments. So if you're trying to fit your house in an area where you do apartments, you never going to succeed. You'll be outbid every day. The same as trying to fit apartment, you will be struggling with the bill cost, because bill costs so expensive. You won't be able to cover the sales.
Yeah. So it's a process of elimination. Would you agree?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And someone says, well, what's my targeting strategy? And I said, look, I've probably got about 10 different things that I put together, and you know them all now. But it's kind of eliminating it all down so that you're not having to look everywhere. So you just find the sweet spot that seems that can work for you. Not only that, has worked for others.
And also I learned from you that building bigger, more and bigger doesn't really always work. Sometimes you just have to build less and smaller and get better results. So I won't be able to work it out myself because it's too much behind it.
Yeah, and it's a percentage, right? So it's a percentage of what you're doing. And I mean, the way that I've always said to people is, I bring the skills, they pay the bills. It's very simple. But if you don't have enough skills, then an investor isn't going to give you any money. But they're looking. All an investor really wants is, obviously they want security, but they're giving you money to get a better return on it than they could in a bank. That's it. And the beautiful thing with real estate is you've actually got an asset there to start with that they're investing in, not only what's got the potential, what's going to happen to it, but they've already got an asset that they're actually buying into that has some value to it. So I found that very easy. And you'd know now that once you've gone ahead and done your first one, even on your first one, you would have had multiple investors come along, not just one. And
not the one.
Yeah, and then you're working out because you had the skills, you presented to them, you show, your A, B, and C scenarios and all those type of things.
I actually, before I even presented the deal, I spent half a year on a dummy site getting all the quotes for that. So when we started first development and I presented the deal, I knew all the costings right to the dollar. So during the process, I didn't have any surprises all the way to the end.
Yeah, and that's another part of how I learn. That's kind of what I've been teaching people in my system. It's not just about the calculation, because anyone can just give you a calculator. Like I could just hand you my spreadsheet and go, bang, this is what I paid for this. But that doesn't teach you how to get the quote in the first place. So I think I've got a very unique system. Maybe I think it's unique. It's called PTR. And it's one of the things I teach people, because the only way you're going to get any form of accuracy is to use a system where you can find out, have a bit of guidance about how do you find out those multiple costs that have been done before. So to me, everything's got to be proven to me. Now, there's going to be variances in cost, fair enough, but you really can't copy just someone else's figures, can you?
No, because like the prices vary so much you wouldn't believe. It depends on what area you're in, what type of finishes you're doing. The townhouse could be cost from $270,000 to $400,000, and if you're aiming for $300,000 profit, that's all profit gone because you miscalculated. You took someone else's fees.
And like what you do now, buying the site, like there's another thing that I find when people first get into doing development, and to me, you know what development means to me, and I think you'll agree with me on this. I always have a thing called IVAP, increase value and profit. So you can show me any property, and I'm not buying it unless I can increase the value of it and profit there first. It doesn't matter if it's got a yield return or anything like that. It doesn't matter if it's 5% yield or positive geared. I don't care. I've got to increase the value of that product. Now, that can be developing is as simple as doing a subdivision, right? And cutting off a block of land. Would you agree? Is that developing?
I think it's easier than subdivision.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that when people call themselves property developers, there's this thing where people go, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm not a property developer. But when you think it is developing a property, developing a piece of land to get more value out of it. Yeah. So, and then once you've got the skills of actually doing townhouses or just doing two houses, whatever, splitting something up, you've automatically got those skills to just subdivide land as well. So at any time, you can just go and subdivide land. But you know what I love the most about developing? It was the double figures.
Yeah.
So that's not only $5,000 profit, but like within 6 months, I got like $70,000 profit off my first deal. The second one was 80,000, third one was 300,000, and up to $1 million. And I was like, God, like my job, if I worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and more hours and did as much as I could and stressed and stressed and stressed and then paid my bills, you know, which was always coming in the mail, I could maybe make 100,000 a year, you know? And I was like, oh, wow. And then suddenly go and do a property deal and bang, there's like 70,000 property. And I was like, 70,000? I felt like I won the lotto.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
You do, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And I did go down the reno route to start with. So, you know, we did a bit of renovating and that kind of taught me a little bit. I wasn't very good at it because I was always just so keen to do further than that. I was always like, oh, I want to subdivide and do this stuff. And I had a funny start renovating where I made a lot of mistakes and that type of thing. But then I got really good at it, actually. You know, you're only going to get better at it. But then I was still like, hey, we just spent all this time doing something and we didn't make that much money. And I was shocked. And so that's why very quickly I worked out, hey, then this other guy, he just subdivided a block of land off and he made more money than I did in 6 months. And it took me, you know, 8 months to do a reno. And I was like, what am I doing this for? You know? Yeah. Did you go through that as well?
Yeah, I sort of saw other people struggling, you know, working their asses off, basically, you know, traveling somewhere for a week and staying there and coming back to work, then go there on the weekends again. I said, look, this is probably not the best utilization of your time and type of return. You still want to live your life. You basically, when you renovate, you're more or less changing one job into another and doing renovation full time. Yeah. You're not really escaping.
And what stops people from getting into that development realm, even if it's a subdivision to a house and that, it's the only thing that stops them is that little bit of education. Mm-hmm. Once they get that little bit of education or they get a high level, like through what I train people on, you never look back because you'll suddenly say, oh, here's a renovation opportunity. Andrey, do you want to do it? And you'll be like, no, I want to do it this way. Like, I'm not knocking people that renovate either. I've seen some beautiful renovations and sometimes, you know, we'll keep a house and we'll have to renovate them and split off the back. But once you have this extra knowledge, it's like a gift. I felt it was a gift when I got trained on it myself because I had mentors. I've always found, I think our first course was $45,000. It was a whole 1 year course that we did to learn all types of different types of strategies, not just development. But and I thought that was a lot of money then. But because of the amount of money that I was making out of that, I was like, hey, this is really rewarding. I didn't even have to wait too long to get that reward back. And it's hard sometimes to do education from my point of view when I leave school and I didn't go to university. And I think from that point of view, that stops a lot of people because we've probably developed, you've got to do some education because you can lose too much money. It's not the hardest thing to do, but there's definitely a lot of things not to do. Once you work out what not to do, and then you're on the right track, it is very simple to duplicate. You've duplicated my system, worked for you, and it's only for you knowing what not to do, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that first deal that you did. Let me bring up a picture here. My background, there we go. So there's one of the townhouses there, just to show people a bit of perspective about what your first. This was your first one, was it?
Yes.
Yep. So tell us a bit about the experience of that. Any stories you can tell us about finding it or negotiating or any wild stories?
There's a bit of interesting story how we bought it. It was on the market for $650, then $600, and then I knew it was on the market for 3 months already. I knew there was the end of the agency agreement there. So what I did, I contacted my lawyer, I signed the contract and put an offer through the lawyers, not through the agent, because I knew that agent's brother-in-law was looking into buying this deal, and I knew if I was to compete with him, I would lose definitely. So I decided to bypass the agent and put my offer.
It's been on the market for so long, and the agent should have sold it by then anyway. But yeah, fair enough.
So I signed the contract and we sent it to the vendor solicitor straight away, bypassing the agent. And vendor solicitor said, "Yes, I have enough. Just let's do it."
Yeah, well, at 3 months they kind of end there. What happens with a lot of real estate agents is they get a chance to sell the property, and there's only a finite time that finishes that contract for exclusivity. And then what will happen is you can keep
panic.
going with that agent, or else you can have an open contract, which is what I do a lot. I say to my agents, hey, you got this for this amount of time. It's all exclusively yours. And I know I'm pretty harsh because they know I've got a good product, and, they know that I'm in a business of doing this. So I give them a month. I say, look, if not another month, I'm going to have to review it. I'll give you, if I get one sold a month, good, I'll keep it on. We get no sold, then I'm putting an open contract. Or else, hey, you can still sell it, but there's no exclusivity to you. So, that's just way it goes sometimes. And again, like this opportunity was something that other people were looking at and rejecting because they thought they could only get 2 townhouses on it, right?
Yeah. So first we dropped the price. We eventually bought it for $540, which is $60,000 below the advertisement, because it was the timing. Timing is important. But before that, before we put that offer, I went through, I think it was 4 or 5 architects in the area, and I knew by numbers I could fit 3. They could be funny shape, but I knew I could manage to fit 3. From my background and knowledge in town planning, I was 100% confident. So I only got one architect who said to me, "Oh, fit 3." So we did all the concept plans. We did town planning report on this concept plan. So we were 100% ready. We didn't have a second guess. Once we were at point to exchange, we already knew what we're going to do, how it's going to look, and what it was.
And the deal to this was similar to all the ones that I do. You present an information memorandum. A lot of my students get to look at mine to kind of make it their own. And then you put it out to an investor and you say, hey, here's what was secured here. I'm not financing this one because I'm going to be doing more. I'm going to be doing all the work for it. You'll have to finance it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we were not going to disclose it, but in that situation, normally what I've done before is a 50-50, which is 50% of profits, or you can do something different from there. But basically, that's something I'm very passionate about, saying, hey, whether you finance it or you don't finance, doesn't matter. You'll still have the skills to do it. But hey, now you're able to have the skills, copy something that I've done and get someone else on board to go and finance it, right? And I remember meeting both you guys out there, and it was a beautiful relationship you had. It was like, it's a teamwork. It's both you working together, right?
Yeah, actually, we with EP5, we're expecting them tonight for dinner. So that's we still keep going. We're still friends. We've got more than just partners, and I know we're going to invest together for the rest of our lives.
And instead of you going to them with we'll just see how it goes, because you've done the training, because you took time to learn my system and go through the whole thing and make sure that you've got everything covered and you can present it to them, you get a lot of accountability, right? And you're going in as a professional. So you have a professional relationship. And when you've got very strong professional relationships, there's a lot of respect and you become good friends as well, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Now with this particular one there's the one on the end. That one there is that the last one?
Yep.
And then there's the one in the middle there.
Yep.
So that's where it is there. It's got some beautiful background there. I've always loved the background there. I remember when
it's
I
really
came.
cozy place. It's covered sort of underneath the mountain, so it's just there's an ocean right behind that mountain. It's only less than 400 meters to the water.
Yeah, good targeting with this one here. I remember coming there. It's funny whenever I go and see my students thing. I suppose I don't know how to describe it. I've taught you all this stuff, and then I come along to have a look at your developments. I'm like, now, did he do this? Did he do? So I'm kind of. It's like a test, Andrey. I'm coming there and I'm going, I'm like, oh, he passed. This is good. This is all right. Yeah. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, you just disappeared. You probably have to repeat it again because there was a internet connection.
Yeah. So when I come along and have a look at my students' deals, like this one here, and I do it quite often when I'm in town, if I can do it, and I'm almost giving my students a test. And you're not really students. I don't know. The word student feels funny to me because it's almost like a business to business relationship, right? I'm handing you you paid me for me to be your mentor and answer questions for you, and then me hand you my business structure. And then you're really not a student anymore. You've got your own business. You're just using the business that you've had some training on from me. And so I'm coming out and having a look at, well, how are you operating as a business now, right? And then I'm looking around and I'm going, oh yeah, I'm looking at the pinpoints on the map and I'm looking, oh, this is good. Yeah, it did this. So I'm kind of tick, tick, tick. So that was pretty cool. So with this one here, and you also learn that, look, with developing, there is never going to be 100% exact profit. You're never going to get the exact number because sales can go up and down, market can change different way. But what I've always liked about it is you start off at a certain figure and you're improving from that figure. From all your costs, you're improving it. And you've got to get to a certain level where it's that much improved in the value of what you're going to put on the site that even if the market shifts and go down a bit, you've got a good chunk there to kind of wave that type of up and down in the market. Or else the first rule of a developer is just to pay off all the debt of what you've borrowed. And then whatever's left over is something that you can have a look at and say, hey, do we do we hold this? How much debt are we paying? So even though these things might cost probably 1.5 million or something like that in the total construction cost, or maybe even more, once you've paid off the debt of it, then the actual value is still there. So that's a good thing. You're always kind of chasing the value, and then the value will lead to a profit, right? Did you find that?
With this one, we actually exceed our target by $10,000. We're aiming at just above 300, and we made 310. So we're about $9,000 above our target.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. And it happened quite quickly. You did a very good marketing campaign. So you followed a lot of the social media training that we give you to make sure. And just what I really want everyone that has become a developer like me is I just want to see them just use it and make it their own. And that's exactly what you've done, because you've got to do that. You've got to come up with your own branding. You've got to come up with your own style. You've got to come up with your own team. But it's good to have a bit of guidance and know, okay, well, this is how other people have done it. Because that's what you are now. You're a fully independent developer. You are still part of our community, right? Because that's one thing that I really like about you, Andrey. You've always been happy to come back to the community of all our students and say, hey, I'm here to teach you something else. So, or show you what I'm doing to motivate people, right? And you enjoy doing that, right? Yeah,
it's like a feedback. I would say it's contribution to where it came from, and that's where you can contribute. It's like your family, and you never leave your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
So now that you've gone from there, you finished that one off. You've got another one that you're working on. So you're building again now.
Yeah.
Is this another JV or your own one, or?
Oh, it's a JV again.
Joint venture again.
Yep. Yeah. Same people.
Same people. Good. Because it's pretty common what happens from that point on. And then I said to you, hey, you're you're doing so many studies to get into finding the right property, and you've got the right targeting in that, and you've done a bit of analysis now, you finished one. Then I said to you, hey, you have to get into getting a buyer's agency going to be able to find sites for other people, because that's exactly what we mainly do. Whether they're on the market or off the market, there's still an analysis to do. What's a percentage? I mean, it's funny when people say, do I get them off the market or on the market? I'm like, well, I can't really remember. Sometimes they're on the market, sometimes they're off the market, or sometimes they're on the market, but they weren't. I got them scooped up so quickly because I was looking at the right time. But if anyone from the public would have done it, they wouldn't have known how to get the property anyway, right?
I would say out of 5 developments that I purchased, 3 was off the market, 2 were on the market.
Yeah. And this is the biggest thing that people from the public will go, how do you get them off the market? Why would someone be so crazy not to list it on?
But look, it's all about your relationship with the people. You're the first one to notify. And some of the properties I researched myself without real estate agents. I had to letterbox drop. I talked to the people. I drive through the area, talk to potential site owners. So there's multiple strategies, but I guess the quickest strategy is to buy from the market, because these people are ready to go. It's the quickest turnaround.
True. Yeah,
I would prefer to buy from the market. More than off the market.
I've done that before as well. I've bought with something that I've seen listed there, but I've negotiated harder terms like 6-month settlements, or negotiated the price down because they know I'm ready to buy, or I have buyers ready to go. It's kind of, I see buyers agents as the middle person between really bad houses that mum and dad don't want to move into, that probably aren't even good enough to reno. They're kind of like a knockdown, but have land value. Now, to someone that is not a builder, or doesn't build constantly, or doesn't have the finance to do the whole building or the stress or the time, they don't want that house. And so this is how we get them off the market. Now, if we can get them off the market, then we're not paying as nearly as much as what they would be if they were a bit nicer house and on the market. So our competition is cut down so much that we can actually make money on stuff. It's the same thing when it comes to subdivision, right? How many people out there know how to do a subdivision? Like really know. How many people know first off the pricing? How many people know the team? How many people know the council process? How many people have heard bad stories about it? Like all this type of thing, where we have this unique talent where we know exactly what to do. And so when we see properties come on the market, we know exactly how to take advantage of what other people aren't trained in. And I think that's the biggest advantage you get when you start to learn a bit about developing, is that you're actually going after properties that other people didn't want.
Yeah, I have an interesting story about it. Was our first property. Our bank asked us to order a build report to show us how bad the house is, because bank thought we don't understand what we're doing. So they request us to order a build report to show us how bad it is. It was funny. We stopped short to say, oh, look, this is we're doing another thing, like we'll just keep our mouths shut, not to disclose what's our intentions here.
Yeah, and I'll see that sometimes, yeah. And that's the whole thing. There is a process again to buying that you're not really giving away that what you're going to be doing to it, because then, well, two things could happen. The price could go up, and then the whole loan process is different. So there's so much. There's not complicated developing, right? It's not complicated, but it's just completely different. So it's something like riding a bike or driving the car. You know, if you drive a car now, you don't even think about it. Riding a bike was easier because everyone kind of doing it, you can kind of see it. But now, you know, that's what we're doing. We're driving race cars at the moment. But it's no different from, you know, any other process to make money through property. Yet the time factor and the profits are better. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
The
time input is less.
It's less, yes. It's less to get
once you use the system, like you can scale.
Yeah, and you hold yourself accountable. I think, I don't know, when I teach people things, I'm not kind of giving them so many options. I'm kind of saying, look, this is a way that I've done it. I treat everything like a business, right? I make sure that people understand that the difference between maybe myself and other people out there, or difference between my training, is that I just don't want to teach you how to develop. I want to teach you how to make profit out of this. The only way I can teach you how to make profit is to teach you how to run it like a business. Businesses are only run to make profit. So if you do this tax structure, if you buy it this way, if you manage it this way, if you do everything that I've done, and same with the accountability, getting multiple quotes the same way a business would, running it on time the same way a business would, then you're going to get profit.
Yeah.
But if you just kind of copy something that someone's done before and try to work it out, you're missing out on the business, right? The business side of things. And that's one thing I've seen you do. You hold people accountable when you're building this, because your mindset is, this is a business that we're doing to make profit. And it's going to be the same thing when you're negotiating the price or the windows or the paint or the builder. So tell us a bit about operating as a developer from a business mindset. What are the things that you found that you do?
A lot of people, what I found is a lot of my clients ready to settle for the less. They're saying, I'm telling you, oh, look, this is the price, we're going to buy it for that. And then eventually some other developer comes in and pays the higher price. And my clients say, oh, we're going to outbid him. We're going to buy it anyway. I said, no, this is not how it works. He said, yeah, but it's our first deal. We're okay. We're just going to make a little bit less money. It's our learning process. As long as we make some money, we're good. I said, no. Like, if you want to do that, go somewhere else. Like, I've got the reputation. I only got one name. So sometimes for me, it's hard work to tell people not to buy it, because there are better sites. There are better returns.
Because sometimes there is an emotion attached. So
yeah, exactly.
Because that's what you're like, oh, it's okay, you know, we'll just make it up on the other end. Yet the way that I know that you can sustain that profit, and the difference in the end, if you come in with the buying of a site as a business way of buying it, then when you're going to be selling it, you're doing exactly the same thing. And so this is often when we take all the emotion out of it, we look at what's the profit at the end. Then when we're buying it, there is no, okay, it's going to cost you, the agent comes in, it's sorry, they won't go 50,000 less. And you go, ding, 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 ding. Well, I'm running a business here and this is the margin I need to make. And we can negotiate a bit. But hey, I'm walking away then. This is a business. I'm not living in this thing. I'm not emotionally
That's what happened recently. The price was 1.1. I said, this only works at 1 million. Edge said to me, you're kidding me. Look at this house. It was sold for this. It's sold for this. I said, well, it works in 1 million. That's it. That's my last offer. Yeah. In a 2 months later, he comes back to me, like, do you want to buy it? I said, yep. Sign contract, sold.
Yeah.
That's it. And he was laughing at me in the first place. He said, 10% discount. No way. Yeah. I said, okay, time will show.
Because eventually there is enough properties out there to buy, because there's a lot of properties that are too big. And what I mean by this, the land value is where all the money is. And so your house, there might be a house down the road on half the land, and so that one's going to be cheaper. This guy's sitting on a bigger block of land with the house isn't as good. So the only person they can sell to that are going to give them what they kind of want or close to it is the person that's going to take the house away and develop it. And so it's really good. And then when it comes to picking your team and holding your builders accountable, you normally, you're never going to get the perfect builder, because they're kind of relying on other people, so things can go wrong through the process. But you can actually interview different builders and find out the ones that have been successful.
That's an interesting story. I had a lot of frying from different communities where I share that. Was the last builder I interviewed 27 builders.
27 builders.
27 builders, and people came back to me. You can't do that. You're wasting your time. You know builders and all that. I said, yeah, but I'm not working for the builders. I'm working for the client and for myself. I don't really care who I know. If you want to work with me, you work.
Yeah.
I need to get the numbers. I need to get the return. That's what I'm after. I'm not working for anyone else.
And then that again comes back to emotion, but we're running like a business.
Yeah.
And so if you're working for a big business and I said, get me some quote on some photocopiers, and you came back with one, and they're going to go, this guy's hopeless. They come back with 27. Yeah. And by building those relationships, that's what it is. You're not doing a business to consumer with a builder. You're doing a business to business, a B2B relationship.
Yeah. Every time we start a conversation, it works as this. It works as this price. If you can't provide this price, I'm not going to make money. You're not going to make money. No one makes money. It's either works at this price or I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
That's it. And people will start to, they understood this is for business. This is for sale. There's no emotions. Now builders have a choice whether they want to try to fit that price, or they said, okay, I've got enough work today. I'll probably leave these projects when I run out of work and I'm desperate.
Yeah. And that therefore, when you come to a budget, they can work with you on that budget to reduce some of the size of it or reduce some of the fixtures to get a better return. So that's just another thing, another part of a process going along. And that's basically
just a good example with the project I'm doing now. Look at the windows behind you. These windows really expensive. They open up like this.
Yeah.
It's a current project. We couldn't fit that price that I had in budget, so all we had to do is just change those windows into the sliding windows.
I could talk about windows so much. The biggest, from my point of view now, 12 years doing this, over $50 million worth of doing this stuff, right? Windows. It's just people think a window can't be that much, or what's the difference? Or you see those houses which are just full walls of windows, and I'm just like,
that's expensive.
So, and you've got to have windows. You've got to have light. But there are so many different types of windows, and for the different client, you'll indulge with different types of windows. But it is very much a thing of being able to there's not going to be that much lever in between different window manufacturers. They're all pretty much doing the same type of thing, and making the windows and that. And you do get better relationships with them to get a better price. And that's one thing that I teach you guys to do, a wholesale buying, and we've even got suppliers for you to work with. But the next thing is just being able to look at a site and go, okay, I've done this like the one like behind me here. I teach everyone it's an army mentality. It's a military standard, which is train, plan, debrief. And so this is what I say with all my ones, all my students, this way that I do it. I do a lot of training, we do a lot of planning, and then we mastermind, which we go back at it and we go, how can we now make this a better thing? How can we speed it up? What could we do different? What could we change on the next one? And so that's what I do with all mine. I look at this one here and I debrief it and I go, okay, what did that cost? What did that cost? What could we do next time to kind of save on? And you've got to do it with each development. You've got to go on and say, okay, now that I get the taps of this much, on my next one, I'm going to try to get it $50 cheaper or something, right?
Mm. The only thing I realized is that look at that fence, the aluminum fence behind you.
Yes.
Like doing brick wall with the full-blown basement, like base, and would be cheaper than having that aluminum
cheaper
fence.
than the aluminium.
Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. And who knows? Yeah. And it's like often when I've done a house, it's very, the fences can be very expensive. And what I've found is someone's done, like I've gone to places before, the same fence that is at the front, which is a really nice fence because it's the first one you see, is down the sides of the house. And I'm like, you can't even see this. And so I'll make sure that the front of my house is nice, and there's always going to be good quality. I don't skimp on the quality, but on the materials, I've got to make sure that going down the side of the house where no one's going to see it, I've got to skimp down on there so I can increase the value of the inside, because those are the feature points that you've got to do. Yeah, so that's great. All right, Andrey, well, thanks for that. Now tell us, so you're a developer. That's one thing you're doing every day, right?
Yeah.
But how do you have time to do other stuff? Must be really busy, right? But you're a business, so you're organizing things, right?
Yeah, it's outsourcing a lot. And a lot of stuff that you think would be, well, it might be funny. We start with houseworks, having, cleaners, having, helping around the house, someone will come in, so you don't have to spend. You need to find out what's one thing that makes you most money per hour. Yes. That's what you have to spend the whole day doing that.
Way. I like
and
that.
Everything else has to be outsourced, because you can only save so much, but your earning capacity is unlimited. So always looking how I can make more money rather than save more. Saving
that's
not
why
going to take
you've
anywhere.
kind of done the buyer's agent thing now too, because I teach people, I say, hey, you got the skills of developer right now. So you can actually find sites with the right license, because we do everything by the book. Anyone that knows me, everything's by the book. I want everyone to be safeguarded. And then on the other side too, anyone could come to you and say, just do me a development application for a subdivision for a house. And you could do that, right? And you could charge for it. I could say, do me a development application, Andrey, for townhouses. I want to buy the land, but I want you to do the development. And you could charge them to do that. So you've got all these extra skills that other people haven't got the experience, because you can learn it, but maybe the experience to be able to know the right team, the right process. And there's a lot of fear in working with councils, where I have zero fear. Do you have any fear with dealing with a council?
I have no fear, because it's you know everything before you buy. That's the whole process.
And it's a process, and you work through it with them. But everyone's like, oh, bloody council doing this, bloody council doing that. And you're like, no. Everyone's like, oh, that council's really hard to deal with. I'm like, well, it's got a set of rules, but hey, there's stuff around that's been done, so there must be a way. And so when you kind of get over all that objection, you kind of move forward. So that's what.
And then also a human factor is huge. With the latest development, we had two times council turning back and say we're not going to approve it. It only took one visit to the council and say, talk to the council, to the assessing officer, and say, yeah, understand that, we understand us, this is where we're going, how we can make it happen. And just 5 minutes conversation, it's all approved.
Yeah, because when you do have a council process, they're coming back to you and they're saying, these are the things that we are worried about, or that we want solutions for.
Yeah.
And so that's really what we're doing. Other people will kind of kick their feet in. No, this is the way we're doing it. I want to do it this way. I'm going to sue you to get to it. Where it's easier just to sit down with them and go, okay. And you can use comparables, what other people have done before, as a case study against it. But you work with them and you get it done like any business would.
And also those sometimes council, they're not business minded. They people who are working by the rules. You come in and say, okay, so you don't like it, how we can make it work. So I still continue. You get the nice development instead of this rundown house. We all make money. We still follow the rules. What can be done here? Tell me. instead of, we're not complying here a little bit, but what do you want to see in there? How we can make it happen?
Yeah.
What's the ultimate goal?
Yeah.
And they say, oh yeah, but if you change this and this, because communicating via email, it's not the best outcome. Because email, it's really strict procedure. But when you talk one-on-one, you can really solve a lot of problems.
And when you know what you're talking about and you're going there with a positive attitude to say, look, we want to come up with an outcome that suits both of us. We're paying our contributions, so we're paying our fair share to be able to develop this. The council's going to get paid a fee for it, which you can use any way you want to improve the area. I'm not building something ugly. I'm building something nice, going to improve the area also. I'm not trying to do something that there's going to be an eyesore. So let's try to work together. And I think once you can do it, you can, and you move forward. And you've always got other outcomes anyway. If something happened, then you've still got a block of land. You've still got an asset there that you're dealing with that you can manipulate in different ways.
Yeah.
So now
there's just a quick story about that.
Please.
With this council, we came in, and council didn't want to approve it. She said, "Oh, this type of design doesn't really suit the area." And I quickly showed her the previous development, which is behind you, and I said, "Look, we broke suburb record with the price with this development, and was sold within 6 weeks."
So people wanted it.
Have you seen anything like that in the area for the last year or so? 6 weeks and suburb record price. Do you think people want it? She said, yeah, it's a good argument. I said, that's it. Market said, that's good.
Yeah, that's right. That's good.
And she agreed.
So you're not trying to push your view. You're pushing the view of what the public.
I said, I could have built what you want or what you asked me to build. It's no problem. I am going to sell it. People don't want it. People want this.
They do want that. That's right. No, you're 100% there. Yeah. So your life now, like I wake up every morning and I'm in total gratitude for where I am at the moment, because I ended up learning a lot in the process of management when I first had my first job. But then it just wasn't rewarding and it was too stressful and I wasn't happy. And then when I started learning about development and real estate and got into it, every day I'm waking up happy. And there's two things. There's one thing because I've got security, because I know I've got now something that I will always be able to make money from. And the second thing is just the ability to not have to go to work every single day and just drive to work and then always be worried whether my job is going to be there tomorrow or how am I going to get a pay increase or who am I going to upset or who do I have to be nice to, all those type of things was always a challenge of having a job. And then when I was able to replace my wage with a product like what you see behind that makes me that profit, that's why I wake up every morning. I'm in gratitude. I'm like, wow, I'm so happy that I'm doing this now. Is that been something your experience as well?
Yeah, it brings you a lot of confidence in the future, so you can start planning your life accordingly. And there's a security, there's a income stream coming in. You expect the profits, and that period of time you work on another project, you're expecting that profit by that time. So you feel a lot of confidence. But look, in saying that, I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. A lot of contacts coming from my work, because I talked to a lot of developments by working in land surveyor. We exchange a lot of experience. I get the prices which other people would never get from the internal network. So I talk to developers who's developing a massive apartment. So I'll ask them how much you pay for that, how much you pay that. They're happy to sell. So I'm in a circle.
Yeah, so, and it's pretty good building houses. Just the product itself. It's not like a can of Coke. Okay, it's a can of Coke. It's like building a whole house. And then it's very hard though when you drive past it. I find I'll be driving past mine, like, I want to go back and have a look at that, So I've kept a few of them.
It's hard to let go.
It's hard to let go, but it's such a beautiful thing to see the buyer and their excitement. Because when I finish this thing and I see it, to be honest, I'm not that excited anymore. I kind of want to move on to the next one. But the buyer's there and they're like, oh, wow. So, and it's funny because I thought, having a lot of money in my bank account will make me happy. And obviously it has made a difference to my life, but having the freedom to be able to enjoy life and discover something like this and be able to produce beautiful things is what makes me happy.
I would add to that passion and purpose.
Yeah.
Get passion and purpose.
And then you can pass that on to someone else and change their life as well, which is what you've had a consequence of doing too. Even just you being a buyer's agent for people, finding people's sites is helping them get to that next level. And that's why I often refer to property development as the next level. And it's a different direction. It's a different road gone down, but it's not going to have any more dramas than you would if you were just doing a renovation or anything else. Because there'll be different dramas in there that go along, but it's actually a lot easier than having to try to figure everything out from A again. And pretty much you've done this now, and now you can pick that up and put that somewhere else, right? Because it's a brand new product. Yeah. So we've now shifting, even though that you can still have a job, but you've now been able to earn money, and now you do two things. You earn money and you make money.
Yeah, that's correct.
And it's funny.
There is a strategy as well in earning money. It's we all know that, but sometimes you do joint venture with no money deal. Sometimes you want to do your own place. So it helps. Like good salary, good money, good earnings also help.
Yeah. And if you're making money, then you can pay yourself as an employee of that company, because that's how we do it, as an earning. Yeah. But it's different because you didn't actually have to go to work every day to earn that money. The product made the profit, and part of that profit was distributed to you as an income, right? Yeah.
So gradually I'm shifting into that direction, and one more tax return, and I don't actually have to work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you now instead of a worker, you're a maker.
Yeah, that's correct. That's amazing when you look at it. Like, that's great.
And even like when you go back to that very first conference that you went to, are you still so grateful of that first person that got you to that first step out to getting into real estate?
We still keep contact with that person who's in front of me.
Me. I'm talking the person before me. I'm talking my mentor, Dip Nabohol, that taught both of us at the beginning.
Yes, that was, the people who make the most money who's got specific knowledge.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
So
that's true. That's true.
First mentor taught me a lot. General, a little bit specific, but what I learned from you is.
But really isn't it amazing that sometimes, like, people say, I don't know. It's just I find that my life has changed because of the people that I have met. And so the circle of people I was around before, my life wasn't improving. And I've always been a guy, I always find the fun out of life. That's fine. But I was always felt set back that I wanted to do something different. I felt like, why not? I kind of saw other people doing things and go, I'd like to do that. But the only thing that helped me get that extra bit of knowledge wasn't a book. It was a person. Right. And so I'm constantly looking at the people that I'm surrounded by and going, who's the next person I need to get in contact with to help me bring to that next level. I think we forget about that. It's not about buying lottery tickets. It's about finding the person, the next person that is going to help you. And that's why we have mentors and people out there.
Also, you have to resonate. The values has to resonate with that person.
It is. That's exactly right. It is a lot about the value of that person. So you've got to look at that person. You've got to say, if you're going to learn off them, are they the right person that holds the same values as you? Or do you feel not 100% right? And if you don't feel 100% right, just walk away, because eventually you'll find someone that feels 100% right for you, right? Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, thanks for today. Andrey, do you have a website currently?
Yeah, propertybuyersteam.com.au.
Okay, nice and easy to remember.
Easy.
Even I can spell that. So that's good. And thanks very much for sharing that experience. You've been very open and transparent with my listeners and viewers, and so that's great. Yeah. And if anything, they can look at a similar story of, hey, nothing is impossible if you just have the opportunity and the information, right?
Yeah, you can take 1 year, fly 12 times within the country and pass your English exam. If that's what you want to do, it's still possible.
That's right. And my first job was on a camera filming sports, filming football players, and now I'm building houses, so building $1 million townhouse developments and $1 million houses and all this type of stuff. And if I go back then to the days of me filming, if someone came to me and said, you're going to be a property developer one day, I would have said, you're on drugs. You're crazy. Imagine you in the truck there, someone coming along and saying, hey, Andrey, you're going to be making millions of dollars a year building, and you won't have to put any money in either, Andrey.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
I know, you think it's crazy, but the only thing that separated you from that was an opportunity and information. Yeah, put them together, bang, anything's possible.
Yeah, not only that, but also guts to act on it.
Action, yeah, that's a good thing, isn't
action.
it? Yeah, we forget about that. Sometimes we have opportunity, we've got the information, but unless we act and grab that opportunity.
What I found with my clients is that most of the time they have an opportunity and information. Some of them just they're scared to death to make this last step.
Yeah.
Even though they find all the excuses in the world, and it's just that's inner strength. That's what stops people sometimes.
And someone said to me the other day, we were talking about entrepreneurs, and they said they do a lot of thinking. And I said they do way more acting than they do thinking. A true entrepreneur, like you think of someone that has invented something, even Elon Musk. Okay, let's use him as an example. He's sure he had to think about the idea, but if he didn't act on it, we wouldn't have electric cars at the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, even though he's a thinker, he's a much bigger action taker. And so if you want to succeed, stop holding back your action. Stop thinking about it, just do it. Same thing with the Apple computer. Those guys had a thought, they got a team together, but the thing that got them to the next step was the acting.
And again, did you have a right action in the first place? No.
Just got to get started.
Yeah.
And so the biggest thing that's going to stop you from being successful, the biggest boundary you have is yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You start taking extreme ownership, which I had to do. I had to sit down and go, why am I getting ahead? My mentor, I'll tell you this little story, right? My start into property development was through me being a cameraman, filming sports, and then having the opportunity to film someone indoors. It was a real estate speaker that was an accountant and taught me all about the background behind the taxation and everything. Her name was Dipna Bohol. I started filming her. Started filming other people as well, but I resonated the most with her because I just felt that she was someone that had this transparency which would be very open and very giving about her story and how she did things, and she gave me the most. And so, but I've 3 years filming her and I still didn't do anything. And I'm like, I've got all this opportunity. God, I'm filming the thing, I'm hearing it, but I didn't act. I didn't take that first step. And so I went to her and I said, can I have a chat with you afterwards? She goes, sure. And so, and she thinks it's about going to be filming or editing or I missed something or whatever. She says, okay, sit down and go, all right, well, yeah, do you want to talk about, when are we the filming? And I'm like, no, actually, I just want to know, how do I do this? And he goes, what do you mean, how do you do it? How do I get into doing this? He goes, well, just get off the bloody camera and start to sit down and let's start to do it. She goes, to be honest, Jason, I don't think you can do it. And I was like, so shocked. That's true. I don't think you can do it. And I'm like, hey, I've just been filming you for 3 years. I'll make you look great. I cut your videos for you and edit them all for you. She goes, well, Jason, why have you done it then? She goes, oh, you can't do it. And I'm like, well, okay, fair enough. She said, Jason, let me have this talk with you first because you're not going to be able to do it unless I get you through this. So, okay, tell me what. She goes, what are you doing right now? So I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this and this and this. Have you got any debt? Yes, I've got lots of debt. Are you happy with your income? No, I'm not happy with my income. What are the things you need? I need all these type of things. I don't like this, the financial part of my life. I feel like I'm strong, I'm talented, I can do more. I'm not getting rewarded in the right way. I just get stress after stress after stress. I know how to work, that's fine. And she said, well, what are you doing? And what have you done over the last 3 years to change that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm filming you. Like, I don't know. I get an extra like $50 for filming you. Does that change anything? I'm like, no, it hasn't. She's going, well, if you just told me the things that you don't like, the things that you want, but you're not doing anything to change that, then I'll be talking to you in a year and we'll be doing the same thing. So she said, look, you've got all the information, you've got all everything in front of you, the opportunity. So if you start to change that, because you know this is a way to do it, then you'll get the things that you want. But if you just sit around like you have been for the first 3 years and nothing. So she said, look, you want to, if now you're ready. And I said, yeah, you're right. You're right. I just keep asking questions, and we've been through that. You've been through that. Keep asking more and more questions, but don't act. And then the next week I went home and I spoke to my girlfriend at the time, that's now my wife. And I said, hey, baby, this is a course here. It's going to cost us, I think it was $4,995 or something, but both of us can do it. It's about real estate. And there's this woman that I've been filming, you've seen her. She's an accountant. She does all this stuff. Will you, do you reckon we should do it? And she said to me, well, Jason, all the money you're earning right now, you're wasting. It's not changing our life at all, is it? He says, so if we spend this money to give us opportunity to change our life, yeah, cool, let's do it. Because all the money that you're making right now is going down the drain. I was like, oh,
the same. My wife,
she's a hard woman, isn't she?
Yeah, but my wife been guiding me all my life as well.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. Another person, right?
Yeah,
she's a mentor. She's a mini mentor out there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Saying, hey, and cares about you and loves you, and from that point on, I asked her permission. And sometimes it is that, and this is where. But I had a plan. I said, well, this is what it is. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm not happy about. This is what I want to change. This is the whole thing. It's 3 days. Learning the education, and from that step on, really from 2008, that first course, learning it, paying that money. Best money I've ever spent, and I've never looked back. I've never stopped doing real estate from that day. And maybe yourself too. Once you've got the bug and you start seeing it, I've improved my strategy, but it's never stopped. But I'll never forget that conversation, which is why I'm always happy to have a 10-minute conversation with people. But I'm not going to say, hey, I'm not going to give them the golden answer, because a lot of the time it's just like, well, where you at? You'd like me to just say, hey, just flick the switch and bang, everything changes, but it doesn't. The only thing that's always very common is, hey, I've got the solution. I know I can teach you it. I know I can train you how to do it. I know I've got all the resources that are going to help you, but hey, you're the person that needs to start to act. And that one little action. So yeah, that first conference I went to, I'll never forget it. It's funny. I've been to lots of parties and I'll forget them. I didn't learn it. Lots of football games. I filmed probably over 300,000 football games. I did it for 20 years, right? A lot of them, three a weekend at least, and then gone and edited them and done all this type of stuff, and then watched them. And I didn't learn anything. I don't know how to play football. I still don't even know all the rules. So 20 years of it, I didn't even know who won at the end of the day. I didn't even know the players and all that. But because it wasn't going to help me. But as soon as I saw something that was going to change my life, something that I could do, which anyone could do, real estate, there's nothing stopping you, then everything changes. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, so thank you to all the people out there that got me to where I am, and thank you, Andrey, for taking action.
Thank you for getting me where I am.
And you'll encourage other people now. People will see you and they'll go, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. So that's the point of today. All right, thanks very much. We'll see you on the next one where we'll go over your next development.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
100%. Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Bye, guys.